Wow, LinkedIn. It's been a minute. Actually, it hasn't been a minute, it's been 18 months. I haven't really created any purposeful pieces of content for my network on LinkedIn for 18 months, and for that I'm sorry. But the reason why I took 18 months, it was inspired by a book I read called Essentialism. And the author, his name is Greg McKeown. So cheers, Greg. Thanks for this beautiful piece of wisdom. Greg says in his book, only once you give yourself permission to stop trying to do it all and stop saying yes to everyone, can you make your highest contribution towards the things that really matter. I've had to say no to creating social media content. I've had to say no to that to give myself space to be able to make the highest contribution I can as a teacher. I've realized during this long period of reflection that at heart and a huge part of who I am is I'm a teacher. Whether I'm on stage speaking as a keynote speaker, whether I'm running workshops that I used to be able to run, or whether I'm teaching my child, a huge part of me is a teacher. So I really want to be the best teacher I can be in my life. And I've realized the lesson that to be the best teacher, you must always remain a student. And I fell into this trap as a teacher. I fell into this trap where I was teaching day in, day out, and at the time it was as a keynote speaker. I was flying from city to city back in the days when you could fly. But I used to fly non-stop and teach non-stop. And the flaw there is I was always a teacher, but never a student, therefore making me not the best teacher I can be. So I decided to become a student again in 6 different areas. The first area being archery. I wanted to be a student again in the area of archery. And let's face it, we all have this deep fear of a zombie apocalypse one day happening. So to me, I thought if I had the skill of being an archer, I would have unlimited ammunition. As you can see in this video, I'm terrible at archery. I have poor stance, poor form. I'm plucking the string dramatically as if I'm Jimi Hendrix. I have no idea what I'm doing. But one of the most beautiful things about becoming a student again as a teacher is it reminds me how beginners learn. And how I need to cater my content to someone who's just starting at something as a beginner. This was extremely valuable to me as a teacher. After you teach for a while and you're in expert mode all the time, you forget what it's like for beginners. So this was a hugely rewarding experience, and just to give you a quick update, it's been 3 months since I've started archery, and I'm much better now than I was before. Number 2, I also became a student in the area of camping. I wanted to camp more, not just to become a better teacher, but I wanted to camp more to become a more rounded human being. For a long time in my life, all I knew was work, all I did was work. But to me, camping allowed me to explore a completely different part of who I am as an individual. It allowed me to slow down, it allowed me to disconnect from technology, it allowed me to be with the people that I love the most and have meaningful conversations and get in touch with that primal part of my brain that wants to start a fire and cook on the fire and sit around the fire and look into the stars. It allowed me to rejuvenate. I never knew the importance of taking time away so that you could rejuvenate as a human being. I used to think, oh, just work. But to me, camping and being a student of camping has really allowed me to live a more fruitful life and a more fulfilling life. The third area in which I became a student in is the area of podcasting. I've been talking about doing a podcast for years, and I've dabbled and tried to do podcasting on my own, but I just didn't commit. Until I started doing my podcast with Ali, which is conveniently called The Vinh and Ali Show. And we started this last year in 2020 in September. And now we're at over 15 plus episodes. And actually, just a quick plug for ourselves, we made the top 50 in the education category on Apple Podcasts. So yay! My mum is still not proud of me because I'm still not an accountant though. Being a student again with podcasting was powerful in that it taught me that don't do what everybody else is doing. I mean, I see a lot of people interviewing experts and interviewing authors, and that's great. I mean, sure, if that's what you enjoy, you do you. But the podcasting journey as a student reminded me the importance of doing what you want to do. And I didn't personally want to talk to all the different authors out there in the world. I just wanted to talk to one of my best friends. I wanted to spend time reading books from other authors, but then talking about those books with my best friend and just having a 2-hour chin wag. That's what I wanted to do. So I remembered that, again, do what you love. Do something you enjoy. Don't do something because everybody else is doing it, but do something that is true to you. The fourth area I became a student in, this started in 2020, is the area of virtual teaching or virtual communications or virtual studios, whatever you want to call it. I realized that at the time when the pandemic first hit in March 2020, I realized that I was no longer going to be able to travel out and speak to my clients from all over the world, but really I had to come to them via a studio. So I spent time, as you can see in this video with my videographer, we spent time just pulling my garage apart. We took the car out of the garage, we packed it full of gear, we had cables running everywhere, and we were experimenting on how we can set up a virtual studio in my garage. And the video you see there is my garage in my home in Southern California. It was a crazy experience. Let me cycle you through some of the iterations. Here you see iteration 1, then iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, iteration 5, and it goes on and on and on and on. And what you currently see in front of you is iteration 14. It took 14 iterations to get to where I am. And I truly was a student over 12 months ago, and now I think I've become somewhat of a better student. I don't believe I'm an expert in this area. However, I feel like I'm much better in the virtual teaching space. What this has taught me is that being a teacher in 2021 and moving forward, it's going to require me to teach in many different ways. To become an effective teacher moving forward into the future, you have to be able to teach offline and online. More than this, I've decided to also become a student again in the realm of communication itself. Even though communication is something I already teach, I wanted to spend time updating my knowledge and improving what I know so again I can be a better teacher. So what I did was I hired a room in Adelaide University, brought in some experts, locked myself in a room with a large whiteboard and had them go to town and teach me for hours on end. This was a brilliant process. This was a brilliant time for me to nourish my mind with new knowledge so that I can update my workshops, update my keynotes, to be able to teach better and become more effective. And the final area that I find myself being a student in is the area of online courses, or the world of online courses. I'm jumping back into this world to be a student again because I want to have more impact. And I've started to understand through the virtual teaching space that before, in order for you to have impact through me, you have to book me as a speaker. I've got to fly to where you are and speak to your people. The virtual world taught me that I could have impact all over the world. I did a virtual event where there was 36,000 people on. And I couldn't believe that I was having impact in Ireland, I was having impact in London, in Singapore, in Australia, in Canada, in the United States of America. I couldn't believe the reach that I was able to have. And then it pushed me to think even more. What if I built an online course teaching communication skills that's not dependent on me being available at that time, at that specific hour, whereas I could have an online course living online that could have impact? So I thought, okay, I want to have more impact, so I became a student again in the area of online courses. So I've been working long and hard in the last 6 months developing my online course, getting it ready so that I'm able to have this impact without me actually even being present. And what I learned being a student again in the online course arena was that it's not just about standing in front of a camera or sitting in front of a camera and just dispensing knowledge. I've started to understand more now that you have to make the medicine taste good. You've got to make it engaging, you've got to make it fun. And that's one of the ingredients that I feel is missing from the teaching space is fun. It's why we spent the last 6 months creating this course and learning about how to create the most effective course. Because we wanted to inject humor, we wanted to inject creative B-roll, we wanted to inject some video editing to make it more engaging. We thought about the music scores that we use and how it can change the emotion and inspire in some points, and then in others make it cheesy and funny, and then in others make it kind of more neutral because they're learning something new. Who knew being a teacher was so difficult? And I've explained all of this to you just so I can say that I'm back. I'm back. I'm going to be creating content regularly again. I'm very excited, I feel rejuvenated, and I also feel as if my axe is way sharper now, that I'm going to better have way more impact, and the place I want to have impact is my community here on LinkedIn. So thank you for being a part of my network here. If you've got any questions to do with building online courses or virtual studios or communication in general, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to create content that's not only relevant and high value, I want to create content for my community. So if you've got any questions specific to those areas I've just recently mentioned, please do leave a comment in the comment section with me below. I would love to create content that is more purposeful and that is more valuable. Thanks for sitting for this entire rant. I appreciate you very much. See you in the next video next week.